So, you already know Revit can do a lot, but it can also slow you down if you're not working smart. So, in this video, I'll walk you through 10 practical tips that'll help you move faster, stay organized, and avoid common time wasters. Let's dive in. Tip number 1, be smarter with your selections. You ever try to move a wall in Revit and accidentally grab a bunch of furniture, dimensions, or tags? That's super frustrating. And it happens a lot when you're not using the right selection tools. So, the problem is we rely too much on default clicks and end up selecting stuff that you don't want. What really helps here is using filters and shortcuts to control exactly what you're selecting. It makes your workflow faster and more accurate. Set up your selection filter to isolate only walls, doors, or whatever you're working on. Use right-click, select all instances, then click Visible in View for repeating elements. And when working with connected elements, hover and hit Tab to cycle through selection. Now this tip is perfect for curtain walls or mullions. Once you start selecting things more precisely, you'll notice an instant boost in your speed. Alright, now that your selections are sorted, let's clean up your actual workspace. If your Revit interface is cluttered, you probably spend a ton of time just finding stuff. Scrolling through views, switching tabs, dragging palettes around. Your one biggest mistake is never customizing your workplace. Revit's default layout doesn't really work for everyone, so adjust it to match your workflow. The goal here is to reduce distractions and keep your tools visible and ready. Drag your project browser to the left and your properties palette to the right. If you have a second screen, move your most used views or sheets there. You can also undock views and place them wherever it's easiest for you to work. Once everything is in the right place, you'll spend less time searching and more time doing. So let's move on to cleaning up your model view with one of my favorite tools. Tip number 3 is use selection boxes in 3D. Working on a large model in 3D can get overwhelming. So, you zoom in, orbit, scroll, and still can't isolate the area you need. One common mistake, trying to work on the whole model when you only need one part. This is where section boxes come in. They let you focus on one area without all the visual noise. Go to 3D view and in the properties palette, check the section box. You'll see a box around your model. Drag the grips to crop to a specific room or floor you're working on. It'll make navigation easier and boost performance. Trust me, use this every time you feel like your view is doing too much. It helps keep things manageable. And speaking of saving time, let's talk about plugins. By the way, we just made a video about plugins. You might want to check that one out after finishing this video. So for plugins, if you're manually modeling things like cabinets, casework, or fixtures over and over, you just gotta stop. A lot of Revit users waste time repeating tasks that can easily be automated. The solution is plugins. They exist and take care of repetitive tasks and help you work smarter. Install plugins like RCCS for automatic cabinetry, or you can also use a Revit lookup to quickly inspect and troubleshoot elements. Try Keynote Manager to keep your annotations consistent across the entire model. A few of the right plugins can easily save hours every week, but before you can even open a new project, let's make sure your setup is solid. Tip number 5 is use Revit templates. One thing that I see all the time, people starting a project from scratch. We're setting up views, units, sheets, families every single time. It's a huge time waster. Templates can solve that by giving you a solid starting point every time you open Revit. Create a project template with your standard view templates, title blocks, sheet layouts, and common families. Save it as an RTE file and use it whenever you start a new project. You can even create multiple templates for different project types like residential, commercial, or interiors. Templates let you hit the ground running every single time. Now that we've got your setup ready, let's talk about one of the biggest time savers, preloaded families. Let's be honest. Digging through folders to find the right family every time, it adds up. A lot of people either overload their projects with too many families or keep looking for the same one over and over again. Have your essentials ready to go. You want speed and organization, not clutter. So preload frequently used families like doors, windows, and furniture into your templates. Create a shared folder structure and name everything clearly. Only load what you need in each project to keep your file lean. And if you're adjusting the same element again and again, this next tip will save you a lot of effort. Tip number 7, use adaptive families. If you're consistently resizing built-ins, counters, or furniture manually, there is a better way. One mistake is using static families for dynamic layouts. Use adaptive families. They adjust based on their placement and save a ton of tweaking time. Place an adaptive component. As you move or stretch the reference point, it automatically resizes and adapts to fit the space. It's perfect for repeated but variable elements. Use adaptive families whenever you catch yourself making the same adjustments over and over. So now, let's talk about how to keep your model running fast and smooth. Optimize Revit for speed. Tip number 8. If your Revit file is lagging or crashing, it's not always your computer. It's your model. One of the biggest mistakes, keeping everything turned on, even when you don't need to. You want to optimize your display and file size to keep Revit running smoothly. Turn off shadows, smooth lines, and sketchy lines in graphic display options. Switch views to coarse during early design, and use Purge Unused to clean out extra families, views, and CAD imports. Once you're done, a lighter model means less waiting and fewer crashes. Now let's take it one step further and cut down on clicks with shortcuts. Clicking through 4 menus to activate a tool? Not efficient. One mistake Revit users make is relying on tools instead of shortcuts. Shortcuts can save you hours every week. Press VG to open visibility graphics instead of clicking through menus. Hover over any tool to learn its default shortcuts, or you can also go to View, User Interface, then search for keyboard shortcuts to customize your own. Once you start using shortcuts regularly, there's no going back. And finally, let's wrap it up with a tip that's less about doing more and more about doing less. Tip number 10, don't over-model. This is a big one. You don't need to model every screw, hinge, or handle in your project. One of the most common mistakes is over-modeling early on, which leads to laggy and unstable files. Keep things light unless the detail is actually needed. Replace detailed families with simplified ones for design and documentation phases. Use symbolic lines or masking regions for unnecessary details. And if you can, only add high-resolution components for rendering or final presentations. Less detail means faster workflows, especially during the early phases of design. So that's it. 10 practical Revit tips to help you save time, reduces frustration, and helps you work faster. If any of these were helpful, go ahead and hit like and subscribe and let me know in the comments which one you're going to try first. And if you got Revit tips that I didn't mention, drop it down below. I'd love to check them out and maybe see them in the next video. Speaking of seeing them in the next video, see you next time.